really busy in the world, right? We can really, really get busy, tough, and everything like that. Family time is all that we have. And I say this from time to time, and I don't know why I'm just being generally soft this morning. I say this from time to time to my friends and anyone who cares to listen. That the lifespan of your job is way longer than yours. So you need to take it easy on yourself. Rest, take all the necessary caution you need. And there is food and there is food. Just pay attention to what you eat, even from when you're young. Seeing a video yesterday of a medical practitioner, I think somewhere in India, saying something like, look, if someone develops diabetes, the person probably developed it from as far back as when the fellow was young, maybe as small as maybe 5 or 10. That didn't make any sense to me, but I'm not a scientist, so I really have no way of telling. So important thing is find a way to recognize all these things and give yourself the pleasure of knowing what is right for you and what is good for you, because you have just one life. Take good care of it. I know that there is a lot that's happening in the course of the week, and so many things. Talk about, fuel queues in some cities and not in some cities. Talk about the Ndume saga. Talk about minimum wage and a number of other things. Let me look at my list now. People are complaining about growing insecurity. Some are even still talking about fuel subsidy removal. And in fact, some are interesting in the fact that the CBN is trying to look at some unclaimed funds and what they want to do with it. All of that is packed into our first topic this morning on the program, and that's our chat. The state of the nation is the first thing we'll be looking at on the program this morning. And then right after that, we'll be focused on the proposed NAFDAC export regulation. Some farmers in particular are already complaining about that one. And then Impact for Living. It's a youth entrepreneurship and leadership academy, and we want to find out what all of that is about later on the program this morning. Now, last week we began these conversations around mental health in young adults. How do parents deal with it? How do the young adults themselves deal with their mental health issues? Because whether we like it or not, what didn't exist then now exists, so we give attention to that. And our artist of the week is someone you want to see. Is it a guy or a girl, a male or a female? Let me keep that on the wrap for now. And by the way, we're likely to have the wrap this morning, so you do stay with us throughout this program this morning. I've had my cup of cocoa this morning with a dash of honey, as I always do. It's with a white mug, actually. Want to get yours? I'll wait. In the meantime, let's take this and we'll be right back. That same thing go kill 'em all. Hey. You are welcome to the next level. When I look up, now commotion. When I look down, now frustration. When I look at my side, now photo. Now so. To reach the top, now connection. If you look at person, now stagnation. When I look my side, now photo. Now so. Okay. One day, our Niger go good. Now so then they talk good. Rise up and take his command. We they see them, we know they blind. We must fight for our right. Anyhow, mambo, this next level, now hot water, bubble up. They just do what see them with their big belly. Then go they use religion to cause plenty confusion. Sometimes the tribalism, poverty
Corruption and nepotism. When hunger fire person, you go weak, you know go fit talk again. Today, I say, please go blow. Fire yash go open it. Masquerade the fiscal show. Hey, today, I say, para woko no. Say the owner there for house. Bad leaders them go. When I look up, now commotion. When I look down, now frustration. When I look at my side, now to reach the top, now connection. If you no get person, now stagnation. When I look my side, now one day, our Niger go good. Now so they no talk good. One day, our mumu go do. Now so we talk. This country take our hand.
Let me begin by saying that you can also contribute to this program this morning, and you know how the information is going to get on your screen shortly, and that is talking about our X platform, Sunrise CTV. That's where you find us on X, formerly Twitter. Your questions, your contributions to the state of the nation conversation we're about to have for about 30 minutes or so, you'll be able to join in on the conversation. But let's begin by saying that over the years, a number of people, experts in various parts of the nation, have expressed themselves and given reasons for the country's stunted socio-economic and political growth. Many believe that the problems lie with our leaders, past and present. And don't forget that recently, Atello Peter Side, of course, you know him as the founder of ANAP Foundation, said members of the Nigerian political and business elite were competing in a game called state capture. Now, he defined state capture as a situation where a country that is supposed to work for 200 million people works for a handful of people, and some others have also conversed the citizens need to have attitudinal change. An argument that will also come up from that would be, which citizens? The ones who have captured the state, or the ones who are looking at the ones who have captured the state? What needs to change? These are some of the conversations we'll be having this morning with three gentlemen, but let's begin with the one we have in the studio here now. Bjorn Showmi is here with us in the studio. He's a social commentator. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Well, a number of things have played out in the course of the week, maybe in the course of the past 2 weeks. The minimum wage issue, local government autonomy, a number of people have raised issues around growing insecurity. We've had quite a number of unfortunate building collapses that have claimed people's lives, complaints about the devaluation of the naira, and several other issues like that, which you may also want to venture into. And there are those who would also reference the fact that certain people who make certain comments they are labeled sort of as enemies of the state, such as the case of Senator Ndume. In all of these, which of these issues do you think should get more prominence among the people?
Well, I think the insecurity issue is critical to food production. And without getting the food production, ramping up food production, you cannot, ideally, bring down the prices of goods and services within the country. And basically, that means we continue to have inflation on the upright. The second issue also is the issue of the naira currency, the value of the naira, which again is a major issue. What do we need to do, in order to boost our reserves and stabilize the value of naira, actually bring it down? So there are a lot of issues. The issue of Dangote is there, so many other issues, but I'm comfortable with any of them.
No. You don't have a choice. You have to be comfortable with any of them because, you've dealt with these issues over the years,
Yes.
Which is the real issue here. That some of these issues are not coming at us strangely. There are issues that have been with us for so long.
Yeah, like local government issue.
Yeah.
It's always been there.
And I always contend on that, Mr. Showme, that it's a no-brainer. We have had local governments function in the past efficiently and effectively, and we know that they are the first line of defense against insecurity. When well-kitted, they know what to do. When not well-kitted, we know the consequences. So why is it taking us so long?
Yeah, but when you actually look at local government in the past, we've had very successful local government operations in the past. At the same time, you've also had a period when local government could not even pay salaries of teachers or sanitation workers and all that. And huge corruption were reported at in different local government areas in the country. That was precisely what led, those were the issues that led to the state government actually taking over those functions and, allocating salaries to local government officials to pay. And since then, we've had teachers being paid and all
apologies, isn't that a violation of the Constitution?
Yeah, we need to look at the anomalies in the Constitution. In a true federalism, you cannot have 3 tiers, Whether the principles of federalism or if you actually go into theory or practice, even in major, federalist countries like Brazil, like India, like US, you do not have, you only have the federating states, the constituent parts are the federating states and the center. The center is the coordinator. So where do we get the third tier from in the first instance? To the extent that we are even, derogating away from fiscal federalism, into making the local government a third tier. Is local government a constituent part of the federation? Is it part of the federating entities in Nigeria?
Is it not?
It's not. It is not. If you go to...
According to the Constitution?
Well, it's only on the monetary aspect. Nigeria is a federal republic. Nigeria is supposed to practice federalism. Is not a federating unit in this country. So what we've seen is the decision of the Supreme Court actually, is more or less making the local governments, part of the third tier, in the whole system. That should not be the case.
Well, is it something that you think worked for us before, or it's always been an anomaly?
Look, since we've been experimenting with this current constitution drafted by the military, it is an anomaly. Look, you cannot continue because you need to look at what happened to local governments over the years. They were not even proportionally distributed. It's another avenue to accumulate more resources, to one state or the other in the country. That should not even be the case. It should strictly be the problem of the state governments on how many local governments they want, how to administer their states. I don't think is the responsibility of the Constitution to ascribe, those roles, to local government. If you go to United States of America, there are conditions if you want to have a local government. There are issues around how do you intend to manage them? How do you intend to fund them? The people in that area may have agreed that, look, increase our land use charge by a certain percentage in order to fund it. And in exchange, after satisfying those criteria, in exchange, the states will hand over your health care system to you, hand over your local education, authority and all that, to that local government. That's how local governments are created. So, they are never federating units.
Okay. So the challenge then would be, excuse me, because what the Constitution says, money should come from the federal government into a purse. The state government should contribute into that same purse or onward distribution to the local governments. That hasn't happened in a while. At least that's what the Constitution says. So maybe the lawmakers would look at the wisdom of what you're saying now and say, okay, well, maybe we should actually retinker with this. But then look at the political class and look at the way the local government administrations, look at the way the local governments have been administered over the years, especially in this republic. You would recall that in the third republic, even in the third republic, it was very efficient. Although we had a military president or head of state at the time, we had a very, very efficient and active local government system. In the Second Republic, they were active. In the First Republic, they were active. You remember that they had they were very efficient in those days. So what happened to us in this republic?
Well, the years of military rule, you know, also.
But they worked well under the military.
They did. I must admit that they did. But when we ushered in democracy in 1999, what we saw between 1999 and 2003, 2004, you know, turned out to be a detraction, you know, from what used to happen. You know, we witnessed an era where local government stopped, you know, performing their basic functions, even though the states were not the one in control of their resources. You know, they stopped performing their functions. They were owing salaries, some owing as many as 9 months' salaries at that point in time, including teachers. So many people were concerned about how we have nosedived in local government administration, and that's exactly what led to the state's intervention, because things were not working. And even then, roads were still being constructed. There's no evidence to suggest that there'll be a change in attitude in the way local governments are administered, even with the Supreme Court ruling. While I understand that there were issues also with the current arrangement, which compelled the federal government to approach the Supreme Court, you know, I understand that in many local governments in the country, about 20 or something, or 23, we didn't have democratically elected.
In a number of states, yes.
In a number of states,
yeah.
Democratically elected local government officials, some state governors prefer to use administrators, you know, to run it, or caretaker committee, rather than having election. But that's not the case for some other states in the country, where elections were actually held, you know, to elect people into local government offices. So yes, something happened. That was why the federal government chose to intervene one way or the other. But the fact of the matter is, we should not forget the issue of restructuring the country to true federalism. If we are taking steps to restructure the country, we cannot at the same time, you know, be taking steps, you know, to restructure the country in the sense that by making local government, you know, another tier.
So we have a problem of in our accountability structures then, right?
Yes, we do. We do have a problem
the
with
issues, my apologies, the issues that you raised with the governors, you know, the state governments taking such drastic actions as they have taken over the years was what gave concerns. Now, there are those who believe that with this position of the Supreme Court, the hope is that more people who are credible, retired this, retired that, would be interested in, since now they are retired, they are at home now, they have a lot more experience, and they will be able to get into the local government administrations and help build the systems in a way that is sustainable, and perhaps even the younger people can be mentored into office. Do you think that's a possible argument? Well,
that's the ideal thing, but in reality, that won't happen. We don't have independent candidacy. Whoever wants to run the local government will still have to go through the political parties, whether you like it or not, because the parties will have to field the candidate. So therefore, it's up to the party who they choose to field, whether it's a retired person, it's a young man, or it's whatever. You know, politics does not necessarily work like that. You know, it's a game of numbers. You really need to be able to have the numbers in order to make a change. And of course, the decision of the Supreme Court will now deepen people's involvement in local government affairs. More people call for accountability. The local government needs to be more accountable, you know, now that they are the ones controlling their resources. But the fact of the matter is, how do you become a local government chairman? You still have to go through the political parties. So, and as long as that is the case, parties will only field candidates, you know, that suit them. But eventually, I can see where this is going, because at the end of the day, you know, we may end up with a situation where the constitution needs to be amended, because the clamor for restructuring into true federalism, you know, is so strong that we can't keep ignoring it with all the challenges facing our country.
Okay, well, I understand that Dr. Monday Ashibogu has joined us. He's a public policy analyst, joins us virtually from Yenagoa. Thanks for joining us this morning, Dr. Ashibogu. Now,
morning.
Yeah, you perhaps have listened a little to what Mr. Shomi has been saying, and you know, part of the whole is restructuring. Now, there are those who believe that with this argument of the Supreme Court and a number of other things that have been going on here and there, that the process of restructuring the nation has started. Do you agree?
I do.
Okay.
I agree absolutely that the process has started, but the issues will be how well the implementation will go. We've always had this challenge of stopping midway, having some very funny policy swings each time we have to implement policies that will be in the interest of the public. We've had this scenario that had played out from local government administrations from 1971 to date. And that has also brought to question if the system of governance is a feasible one or sustainable type of governance.
You know, there are those who would be asking you now, Dr. Ashibogu, when you say the process of restructuring has started, how far gone are we? Fiscal restructuring, social restructuring, ethnic restructuring, or political restructuring? Which direction should we be looking for the most prominent, most important ones that can give us the quickest result within the shortest possible time? You know, we're very impatient people.
I think what we should have at the moment should be a cooking broth that will be a combination of ethnic, economic, social, and political. And these combinations are expected that they should run concurrently with each other. The challenge has been that we play precedence of one over the other and sometimes give more of political colorations and ethnic colorations, sometimes with an undertone of religious inclinations to them to run policies. Sadly, yes, those things are part of our narratives as a country, but it's supposed to be attributes that will give us strength in actually achieving nation building. The challenge has been years over that we play precedence of political and ethnic considerations above economic and social considerations that could have been an instrument for cohesion as a country. Restructuring is not something that you wish that it happens within 24 hours, but the process of restructuring starts bit by bit to ensure that beneficiaries are the ultimate citizens who are at the bottom. The local government is closer to people, and we expect that they are supposed to deliver on the dividends of governance to people. Sadly, that has not been the narrative in the past 20 years, and we hope that with some of these court judgments, it will actually whip some persons into line to do the needful for the people.
How significant, in your opinion, is that decision of the Supreme Court? There are those who think, well, it's something that is going to swing well for us. And there are those who also believe that, no, this isn't the way it ought to go. It's an aberration to federalism. What's your own take?
I don't see any aberration here. What I find I have my worries that most times the intentions of the courts or intentions of policymakers have always been to ensure that things are done rightly. But we have people who look at loopholes in policies and laws to take advantage of it and upturn the process. The challenge we've always had is the issue of persons upturning or using the various loopholes in a policy to achieve certain things that is far-fetched from what the objective of that policy is. I'll give you an instance. Mr. Showumi reiterated these issues. Councils at local levels have the responsibility of payment of salaries for primary school teachers and also sanitation and environmental officers. But sadly, that had not been the case for years. That compelled the Nigerian Union of Teachers to be on strike at every 3 months interval. That also led to the emergence of the Universal Basic Education Commission, state universal basic education boards, and at the local government education authorities. And that money was moved from the control of the local governments to the first line charge at federal allocations. And we've not had issues of primary school teachers being owed salaries. That shows also that councils can have the capacity to be irresponsible, just the way governors today have been held responsible for the plight of local councils. So it's just a dilemma between the chicken and the egg, which should come first. you giving this, devolving the power back to councils, it will require some form of responsibility from councils to meet up the obligations of the people at state and local government. But sadly, you have people who look at the loopholes in these laws and judge it and utilize it for their personal gains. That would have been what had happened with the state governors running councils as if it were a personal property.
Well, Dr. I'm sorry, Mr. Showmi, I'm sure you want to react to a thing or two that he said. But one of the issues that is directly connected to this local government financial autonomy, so to speak, is that of the minimum wage. Now, hitherto, what we've had is a situation where the federal government is supposed to put the money in JAC, and the state government should also contribute into that same purse for onward transmission to the states. The belief out there is that that's not what we've had. In fact, the moment the money gets into the JAC purse, the states take advantage of it and do whatever it is that they like with it. Most of them, taken from what you said. Now the responsibility is of the federal government is money goes directly from the federal government to the local government administrations. Do you see the states doing the same?
To put in money?
Yes.
Well, again, we need to look at this issue of, I broadly agree with my colleague on the issues in relation to local government, but in relations to restructuring, that's whether we have started the journey, to restructure or not, that's where I probably have some allusions in relation to your question, because before you can enhance the state to subvent or to subvent local government operations, then they must really have the resources. I don't currently believe that the states have the resources.
Even though their allocations have greatly increased over the past few months?
Who owns the resources to start with that has been taken to Abuja? The states. They are the federating units. They own those resources. And then they are all taken to Abuja and then again shared out again to the states and local government. Now, when you actually crunch the figures, the federal government controls 52.68% of the budget, in terms of federal allocation. And then look at the states. You have 36 states, collecting 26%. Crunch the figures and take away the 13%, states collecting 13% derivation. You only have 0.78% allocation to a state. It's zero, less than 1%. Just take a state with 3.5 billion allocation on a monthly basis and divide it by 4 million population. So that's probably what you will get. So the resources are available to the states are not at the same level with the federal government. So therefore, the ability of the states to even support its own operation is highly curtailed, not to talk of subventing local government. When we want to talk about restructuring, we need to begin to look at a situation where that is reversed, so that the federating states are the one, who are paying a certain level of taxes to the federal government to maintain, to manage, administration, federal administration, security, armed forces, and so on and so forth. The issue of monetary policies, customs and immigration, and foreign affairs. That should be the preoccupation of the federal government, because the federal government is just the center controlling, regulating all those affairs. So what we've had over the years is an anomaly. That is why direct allocation of resources, to local government, it's still anti-fiscal federalism. It's anti-restructuring. It's not, that is not the way federalism operates in anywhere in the world or in theory. So therefore, this is something novel, to us in the country. So those, agitating for restructuring will continue to, raise issues around this. So even for the state's government, they do not have the capacity. Currently, they are busy looking at how to pay the 70,000 minimum wage. But they themselves
are already, having conversations with the federal government on this issue that you raised. I think it was Governor Pintiri that raised the alarm, and the number of state governors, I believe, are already talking with him. Now, look, there are some resources that belong to us in states, that the federal government is controlling. And consequently, the federal government, if the federal government is doing what it's doing now, giving some authority to the local government administrations, then we need to have conversations about these resources. I think that's, that conversation is already going on as well.
Absolutely.
Okay, I understand that Mr. Dania has also joined us this morning. Mr. Tony Dania is a legal practitioner. Thanks for joining us this morning, Mr. Dania. So we are talking about the state of the nation. One of the strongest issues that's happened within the past 2 weeks is the local government autonomy. And just in the course of this week, the federal government, the president sat with Labour, and they agreed to a 70,000 naira minimum wage. And that's, should I call it comical? Can you hear me, Mr. Dania? Okay, we'll come back to that later on. So, Dr. Ashibogo, I'm sure you listened to all of what Mr. Showumi said, particularly about whether or not restructuring has started, given the conversation between the federal government and the states, or rather the states, concerning the resources that should be coming to the states that are not. What's your take?
We had a way of reversing things in this country. Tragically, this was the experience from the central government system after the 1966 coup. And we had actually imbibed the central system as a component of federalism. Tragically, that's not how federalism ought to work. And the question has always been the phobia by those who are at the center to lose control, because funding will now go to those at the bottom to actually administer their communities and environments. And that also brings to the question if we have what is called the sustainable federalism. You have different organizations, different levels of governance that are not sustainable. Some states have local governments that cannot even generate IGR to pay basic needs, not to talk of salaries. And then we keep creating more and more agencies of government at states, at local government, and at the national level. So the control of funds is not just only the issue. Is the institutional framework we have established over the years, and how do we cope with the idea of having to restructure without having consequences that may be more negative than positive to the people of the country? If you are to look at the Orosoye's report also, it called for a cost-effective government. But the question is, where are you going to throw in these persons who are going to get out of the public and civil service? The private sector, as we speak, lacks capacity to absorb that number. And you are quite aware that the economic system is already challenged as it is. And everybody, we're just hanging on the line. And if you have to do restructuring, it comes with consequences. The question is, are we ready to face the consequence? A lot of us clamored for the removal of fuel subsidy. And then the president came and said it's off. Now we are seeing the impact of that same removal of subsidy. We're seeing the removal of align the naira to find its value. Now, these are policies ordinarily people have been beneficiaries of because of the loopholes we find in those policies for subsidy, for the forex market. The same would also apply for restructuring. It requires a very sincere implementation and also looking at the impact and the consequences that will come thereof.
Perhaps the issue here, my apologies, Dr. Ashibogo, perhaps the issue is we don't even think through these things that we want, right? We want local governments to be autonomy. Just a second. Just one second, Dr. Ashibogo. Now, we know that the right thing is what the Constitution says. Money doesn't sit in the purse. Money goes straight to the local government administrations, and from the federal government and the states straight to the local government administrations. But given what Mr. Showumi said now, as concerning why the states decided to subjugate, sort of, the local governments, now the Supreme Court has ruled. Where do we go from here? What's the assurance, as Mr. Showumi has asked, that That decision of the federal government, of the Supreme Court, by the way, has been thought through, and that the consequences, when it begins to bite us, we are ready for it.
But I think the thing is, there are two levels of funding for councils as provided by our Constitution. The first line charge that was supposed to come from the federal government to councils, and the reason why it had to go through the state governments was the state governments were also supposed to also match that fund and send to councils. That had not been the case. The states will withhold the same funds, and at their beck and call, at their whims and caprices of the leader, whatever comes to the council is just okay. And councils suffer dearly for it. Now, if you're telling governments at the federal level to send this money directly to councils, I have no problem with that. Some of them will receive zero funding from their state governments as a protest. The thing is, I keep saying we need to be very sincere in our applications. We need to ask ourselves, it's not just about Supreme Court ruling. There are a lot of things we do in this country that requires no legal backing. Common sense is actually the first governing principle to any form of governance in the world. And the truth be said, what is the guarantee the councils will be responsible enough to apply these funds rather than some other persons lining their pockets? It may just be a change of name. All former documents remain valid.
Look, so let's just a second, Dr. Ashibogu. We're coasting home. A legal practitioner has joined us. Let's hope we can hear him now. Mr. Dania, can you hear me? Well, I guess we'll have to bring in Mr. Dania physically to the studio sometime next week. Now, you've also listened to him, Mr. Showumi. You've listened to everything that Dr. Ashibogu has said. It will seem like my concern really is everything that's happening in Nigeria, all over the federal government, the Federal Republic of Nigeria, starts at the local level. The argument of the president before the ruling of the Supreme Court, I think, okay, well, the case was in court already at the time, where the president was talking to some leaders and said that you should call out their governors and get them to be responsible to the local authorities. Now, I don't know what you think the local authorities themselves can do. I'm not talking about the politicians, the local government chairman and all of that. I'm talking about the community development associations. I'm talking about traditional rulers and all of those people who are leaders in the communities. Do you think there is anything they can do to ensure accountability?
Yes, a lot can be done to ensure accountability. But even within that, you cannot still ignore the states. If they're going to have to contribute money as envisaged in that constitution to local government administration. So therefore, we cannot just push them aside.
I agree with you, yes. But don't the state houses of assembly have some kind of oversight responsibility?
They do.
Exactly.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
That's the state, isn't it?
That is the state,
but
yes.
The problem a number of people, I think, are pointing at is the governors being lords over the local governments.
Well, I will still repeat it, it's not in all the states.
No, I know. Yeah. That is it.
Yes.
That is the thing. But it is a reality now.
Well, that happened in many places. When you look at the issue of traditional rulers, which you brought in, how will they be able to moderate the affairs of a local government when they have no constitutional rule other than the state's houses of assembly? In fact, under the present chieftaincy laws in many states, a local government chairman can dethrone a traditional ruler. So that you begin to see the weakness of the system. Same also, the CDA is not able to regulate, the activities at local government level other than input in terms of advice. If things are going wrong, there's nothing they can do. So basically, it still boils down to the states, through the states' houses of assembly that will carry out the oversight functions and regulate the affairs of the local government. That is still the position till today. The Supreme Court has not, abrogated that.
Okay, now to the issues of fiscal responsibility that Dr. Ashibogu raised. The federal government does have its jobs cut out for it, but the states do have their own jobs cut out for them. A good number of activities, economic development, if they will happen in the states. Do you see them? Do you see the states, pulling their weight in that regard?
Well, I honestly think the states will do that because The problem many states are facing currently is the lopsided federalism which we are practicing. Even states that are considered, to be non-performing, because there is no way you get less than 1% of your own resources taken to the center, and the center is controlling 52.68%, and you're expected to perform some magic.
While I get that argument,
yes,
Mr. Shomi, several reports have pointed at the fiscal irresponsibility of the state governments with the resources that they have.
You know what the problem we have, which people are not talking about, is what I would term as state indolence. We have a constitution, we have a construction in Nigeria that allows, room for state indolence. What do I mean by state indolence? For instance, if you produce, under the previous, before the Tinubu's administration, if you produce electricity, invest in electricity like Lagos State did, Akwa Ibom or Rivers or something, you'll have to pump it through the national grid to be shared by everybody. So why should I, as a state, maybe in another part of the country, invest in electricity? That is state indolence. It's actually the constitution which we are practicing, is actually the confused federalism which we are practicing that allows for that. And the good thing is Mr. President has taken a step to say, look, hang on a minute, if you want to produce electricity, you can produce it. But the issue still remains the issue of distribution. The transmission lines are old and all that, so it still requires a lot of investment. So it's still the nature of the federalism we are practicing, a kind of centralized federalism, which is creating this problem.
There might be a little bit of argument there, because even I think it's in Abia State now that they have, electricity working for them. I don't know how it's running. So if they are not having problems, I'm not going to complain, am I? But let me ask Dr. Ashibogu, do you agree with what Mr. Shomi has said right now?
Absolutely, I do, but I beg to differ about this application by state governments. We've always had I think some of the state governments have more powers than even the federal government from the way they appear. They tend to walk like emperors. That's the truth. If you find some of them have the houses of assembly in their pockets and dictates the kind of laws that should be passed in the administration of councils. And tragically, that has been what has impacted over 70% of the councils nationwide. And we are quite aware that everybody is just thinking about how to line their pockets. That's the truth. The truth is, the money going to councils now, you're going to create billionaires at council levels. You are not going to have this thing impact on the lives of the Nigerian at council levels. We are concerned about the responsibility of councils and states to make sure these councils work. If a council works, people would actually be beneficiaries of that system. Everybody looks at the federal government as being responsible for everything.
Okay.
And sadly so, the federal government takes it as a responsibility for taking over 52% of revenues, and yet we're still having this argument over and over again. It would be only appropriate for a system to create rules that would govern, that would make everyone accountable.
Okay.
The Supreme Court judgment only states what the federal government should do and keep up to that responsibility to councils. But the issue now is, will councils be responsible enough to implement this with the funds they've received?
I think that's a question to answer over time. One of the things, unfortunately, we are out of time now, but one of the things that we've had over time, because, I've been part of certain, conversations with some civil society organizations invited to public fora that are asking the question of accountability structures within the space. At the end of the day, it's about the people. Now, the people, Mr. Shomi has spoken about state indolence. I hope the citizens themselves are not indolent, and I hope by now we'll begin to take what needs to come to us as seriously as it ought to be. Thank you so much for your time this morning, Dr. Monday Ashibogu, public policy analyst, and as well as Mr. Shomi, who is a social commentator. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Definitely we'll have you gentlemen again some other time. Now, something more concerning is about food security. And guess what? It's not just about that. We're talking about Nigeria being a productive nation. How do we do that? By being able to export. And that's part of the concerns in this next conversation. Stay with us.
Don't worry, we'll talk later, yeah?
Buddy,
How far?
give me small spot. I beg. Make I play game. I beg.
Oh, yeah, now.
Thanks, G. Yo, if I don't come out.
Bobby, how far now? I got you.
Buddy, I beg. Make I connect. I beg. I need to stream.
Get what's that now?
Enjoy 100% data bonus with night data. Dial *312# to enjoy.
Power your relentless ambition with ultra high-speed data.
Glow Unlimited.
And then bring the men, we go solve problem for we state, we go make us happy. Tiri bosa folly, but party. Better things go flow from post to post as it's supposed to be normally.
Vote Olumide Usaigbavo Akpata as governor. Vote Alhaji Asama Kadiri for deputy governor of Edo State. Vote Labour Party.
The Duchess International Hospital caters to every aspect of the family's health needs. A one-stop shop for maternity and child health services, emergency medicine and critical care, medical and surgical subspecialties, dental and eye care, and a range of other subspecialties and services, all available at a single location right here in the heart of Ikeja. And it really doesn't matter if you're paying out of pocket using your HMO or private insurance. We focus completely on providing that world-class affordable healthcare for all the family at all times.
Rocktown in the building.
Well, thank you so much for staying with us. Now, I talked about export regulation earlier before we took the break. I think about 2-3 years from now, NAFDAC raised the alarm about the fact that certain products from Nigeria, yams, and a number of others like that, including, I think it also includes beans, so when they export them to certain parts of the world, the destination of those products complain, destination countries complain, and some of those products are sent back to the nation. The complaint, okay, it has too much pesticides, you know, some chemicals are too much, and all those things. Perhaps that's part of the reason that NAFTA came up with export regulations following its decision to solve the perennial state of international rejection of Nigerian exports by fully automating the export licensing of regulated products. Now, the draft says that, regulations shall apply to regulated products like food, drug, cosmetic products, medical devices, packaged water, and chemicals for exports and other things like that. And it also talks about regulating the stakeholders in the business of exportation of the agency's regulated products. Of these issues, there are groups that have some misgivings, especially farmers. This morning, Mr. Felix Oladunjoye joins us for a conversation. Otumba Oladunjoye, Felix Oladunjoye joins us this morning. He's a council member, Nigerian Chamber of Commerce, Industry and Agriculture. He's also chairman of Cocoa Processors Association of Nigeria. Thank you for your time this morning.
It's a pleasure having me.
For those who don't understand what the issues are, please give us an update. What exactly are the issues for you?
Thank you very much. I'm a Nigerian, and I've been an operator in this export market for over 25 years, working in the multinational, engaging farmers and others. Now, we need to define what food and semi-processed products are. You mentioned yam, rice, beans, all those things. Those are direct food that people consume. Now, we need to define product commodities that are not food, that are still subject to further manufacturing. We need to define that. In as much as I agree that NAFDAC have the responsibility to regulate food and drugs, especially being consumed in Nigeria and for export. But in our own case, cocoa processing, we deal in a commodity that is raw. It's an industrial product that you need to process, add value, package, meet international standard. It's an internationally traded commodities, just like all the other commodities. So we have international regulation. For you to access export market, there are conditions as a manufacturer, as an exporter, that you met for your product to access international market. You must have an ISO certified laboratory. Majority of our members, factories are equipped with internationally certified laboratory. In fact, you cannot engage in export product, especially cocoa and sesame, all those things, without having an ISO certified lab. Those are located at the factories. What we are saying is that NAFDAC should not add to the current problem of the multi-agency in the Nigeria seaport and airport. That is not where the NAFDAC should extend their regulation to. If they want to regulate, go to various factory warehouses where they package this export product. Inspect their facility. satisfy it that is in, but in a situation where NAFDAC is now proposing another law to set up another toll gate at the seaport, bringing more hurdles to free trade and compounding the problem of delay, contract default. That is what our association is crying to the government. Now, we are talking of inadequacy of foreign exchange. As far as Nigeria is concerned, we are now the sixth producer of cocoa in the world. We used to be second. Now, because of policy, somersault, and inconsistency, Nigeria has been relegated to the background. We are, you know, these are issues.
Just to quickly talk about the issue that you... So the problem is not that NAFDAC cannot regulate. The problem is where. That's the issue you're raising.
Yes. Now, let me tell you, they are multi-agency doing the same job. What NAFDAC is proposing to regulate is being handled. We have Nigerian Export Promotion Council, who issue license to exporters. We have Federal Ministry of Agri Quarantine, who issue phytosanitary and health certificate. We have Neroli agencies, who the government employ to inspect export, to issue clean report of inspection. All these things the exporter paid. Not only that, each exporter is to pay 0.5% of the FOB values as export supervision fee. Now that is coming again.
To whom is that last one paid?
The 0.5%. We pay through to the banks. It's go to the federation account. So, on average, a ton of cocoa go for between 2 to 3.5 million. Depends if it is processed or not processed. So we are saddled with multiple taxation. If now that is now coming to add more problem to it at the seaport, that is what we are crying for. But Nigeria will lose their esteem in international market, and there will be more problem in the foreign exchange market.
Part of the responsibility, it is part of, you agree that it's part of the responsibility of NAFDAC to ensure that whatever is going out of the country is regulated, isn't it? Because from what you have said now, if we have, like you mentioned, 3 or 4 agencies of government that are supposed to be doing one thing or the other.
Yes.
Yet, we still have a situation where products that are exported out of the country are substandard, and people are complaining.
The products that are standard, they are not industrial goods. Let's get it clear. When you talk of yam, I mean, farmer plant yam, harvest it. Yam is is vulnerable. Beans, those are direct food.
But
do you get what I'm saying?
I do get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I find it a little interesting because there are those who have pointed to Ghana exporting yams, and we don't have the kind of reports that we have about Nigeria exporting yams. Is that to say that Nigeria's yam is not good?
No, what you are saying, their existing agency, what we should put our torchlight is to audit those agencies that are currently saddled with the responsibility of certify those quality, and still we still get it. So when those agencies are not doing, and you are bringing more, you are compounding pre-problem.
Are you saying that legally, NAFDAC does not have a responsibility to regulate or exported goods that are being exported?
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, NAFDAC should go to the base where they package those food, the factories, the warehouses, and inspect the facility of those exporters. But what NAFDAC is proposing is revenue generation. They are not, because they lack capabilities. NAFDAC only have one laboratory all over Nigeria in Lagos. Now, tell me, how would one laboratory that is situated in Lagos will regulate millions of export transactions in Nigeria? I mean, they lack the capability, infrastructure, and human resources to really handle export efficiently. So if NAFDAC is coming to charge money, they've already stated in the regulation, they will charge money, and they even say they will seal up factories. So we've written to NAFDAC. We want to collaborate with them. Let us sit down and look at this thing. We're supposed to be promoting trade. Now we are crying. Look at the exchange rate. Because the foreign exchange generation, especially by non-S, has dropped drastically because of all this multi-agency, multi-taxation, making Nigeria uncompetitive in international market. We need to look inward. If you want to regulate, go to the factory.
But they also have that responsibility. Are you saying that they don't go to the factories?
They don't do it. Now they want to wait at the port and be collecting money.
Because part of that regulation of NAFDAC that we're talking about also talks about the fact that they also have to make their checks at the various factories. Okay, I saw part of that regulation talking about that they have to go to inspect. For instance, Regulation 7 says the agency shall A, inspect facilities for products to be exported where applicable, and B, conduct pre-shipment examination of consignment intended for exports.
What kind of pre-shipment inspection? When we already have government federal agency professionally saddled with that responsibility. That's duplication of function.
Which responsibility? Which agency of government?
We have Neroli, who were appointed by pre-shipment inspection agents, who were equipped to do that. They go to factories, they take samples of export. So why is NAFDAC? Why duplication of function? I mean, these are against trade facilitation.
Okay, and I also believe that.
Let me tell you something.
Okay.
If you send sample to NAFDAC lab, at least it will spend like nothing less than 1 to 2 months. Now, are you telling me if I have an order, mind you, international export trade is guided by international law. If I give you a contract to ship goods, for example, in July, and NAFDAC is asking me to bring the sample of that goods that's supposed to get out of Nigeria in July for sampling before it can allow the goods to leave, then it spends another 1 to 2 months because they lack the infrastructure. Now, tell me, the image of Nigeria is being battered. That contract I will default in timing, and there is heavy penalties.
But there is also the responsibility of the farmers themselves, isn't there? Because if there will be no need, for instance, in my opinion, for NAFDAC to come up with this kind of regulation, if we've never had a situation where Nigeria has been embarrassed by the quality of products that are sent abroad and repatriated because of the poor quality.
We are still saying the same thing.
I'm asking, isn't there a responsibility of the producers, of the exporters themselves, to ensure these things, as opposed to any government agency at all coming to do it?
There is existing export guidelines. The existing export guidelines specify the process of your goods getting out of the country. That's what I'm telling you.
I get that.
Now,
but the problem is, do we keep...
the NAFDAC you are talking about.
Just a second.
Yeah.
Do all exporters keep to these guidelines?
Of course they keep to.
If they do...
If you don't keep to, there's penalty.
Exactly. If they do keep to those penalties, to those guidelines...
Yes.
And would there be a situation where Nigerian exports are rejected?
Which of the... We need to... You see, there are various types of exportable products. That's what I want us to clarify. Those that are exporting gari, yam, they are the people having that issue.
Okay.
Let's clarify. Because it's good for us to differentiate what kind of thing we are dealing with. Otherwise, we won't get any results.
Industrial goods are not affected?
They are not affected.
Okay.
Because there are international guidelines, contract, everything. Each factory is equipped with ISO certified lab. And we have existing agency that conduct inspection, sampling, everything. Industrial goods are not affected.
Okay.
It's all this food, all this stable food or whatever. So we need to define that so that we don't create problems.
Yeah, what's your appeal now to NAFDAC or to any other agency that needs to intervene in this matter?
Nigeria, as it is, we are one of the worst in terms of competitiveness and cost. We are lacking behind Ghana, Ivory Coast, South Africa because of this multiple agency delays, port problem.
So for you, it's about patriotism.
It's patriotism.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you.
Let's just hope that, within the shortest possible time.
Well, we've written to NAFDAC. We've written to everybody.
We've
written for a meeting. They've not replied us.
We've
need
also
to sit down.
tried to get to NAFDAC to ensure that at least, involve them in this kind of conversation that we're having here. We hope we'll get a response soon. Otumba Felix Oladunjoye, Council Member, Nigerian Chamber of Commerce, Industry and Agriculture, NASIMA, and also Chairman of Cocoa Processors Association of Nigeria. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much. Right. Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Now, we return in a few seconds with another conversation. Do stay with us. Love that song. Akagom. Anyway, we'll come back to that some other time. Now, all over the world, teenage entrepreneurship programs are one of the ways in which leadership, creativity, innovation, resilience, and entrepreneurship are developed amongst teenagers. The results and testimonies of such programs have been phenomenal all over the world. Now, the challenge in making such programs available to a greater majority is the cost of that program. Now, the conversation we are having now is about Impact for Living, Youth Entrepreneurship and Leadership Academy 2024. Two people are with us this morning. Rebecca James is Yella 2024 event manager. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much.
And we also have Mr. Tunde Ekpekurede, CEO, Learning for Living. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much, sir.
So, ladies first, they say, so I'm just going to fulfill that role. Thank you for being here this morning. Youth Entrepreneurship and Leadership Academy. What's it about?
So it's about entrepreneurship for young adults, for teenagers from the age of 13 to 25, helping them to see the world of entrepreneurship from a different dimension, even at a younger age, till adulthood.
Okay, so my 13-year-old or 14-year-old or 15-year-old should become a CEO?
Definitely, yes.
Say that again.
Definitely, yes, sir.
Okay. Is that something you also agree with us?
Oh, sure. What they are apprenticing, they are acting.
Apprentice CEOs?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And when they apprentice as CEOs, what happens in the neural system? They are building neural links that makes them see themselves as CEO. And much of life, and if I say, and I would dare say all of life is based on identity. How you see yourself. So when they act in these roles, when they are trained to act in these roles, they step into a future larger than them. But that future begins to act like a magnet, drawing them to their future.
Talk us through how many times this event has been organized.
So we have organized it twice.
Okay.
We've organized it in 2012 and 2014.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And you are the one organizing this year?
Yes, sir.
It's your first time?
Yes.
Okay. Now, why didn't you hold in 2014 from what we gathered?
Okay. After 2014, we for paucity of funds.
Okay.
And we did it in 2012, and we did it again in 2014, but we did not attract the kind of sponsorship we were looking for. Now, one of the things, like the introduction you said, CEO entrepreneurship events all over the world, because of the kind of settings, the kind of classrooms, they are hosted in environments that mirror actual offices or boardrooms or training rooms, not what you would see in your traditional secondary school. So it brings, to really convey the image that you are CEO. Now, all of that comes with a lot of costs. So now, except we have sometimes, if you are fortunate, you find organizations who donate your training room, training facilities, and it makes a whole lot of difference. Now, when we did the first two events, we couldn't attract that much sponsors. Now, sponsors come in to reduce the cost for those who don't have money and to make it, even for those who have money, to make it as possible.
Perhaps, a good way to begin this conversation, Mr. Ikukurede, would be to find out from you, what are the benefits to the parents?
Oh, to the parents. The opportunities are immeasurable, I would say that. Now, in 2014, we held this program, Akin-Olugbade, Victoria Island. Now, there was an Army Major General who was living in Ikoyi at the time, and he had 2 of the children attend this program. At the end of 2 weeks, the wife of the Major General came to her and said, "What did you use for this program? We noticed that our children are forever changed. The need to wake them up in the morning, the need to tell them what to do." I said, I told the woman what they are doing now. They are seeing themselves in the roles they acted during the academy. Now, when you begin to see yourself as a CEO, it's a whole, the ball game is different. Now, we've had that testimony from parent after parent. In fact, I remember 2 years, the first one we did was in Warri in Delta State. And I remember 2 years after we've moved to Lagos, we got a letter from the Delta State government, people who have written the Delta State government that we pulled out, parents. And the government said if they knew that we were having financial problems to continue the program, they would have come to our aid. But they didn't know. Now, it was beneficial to parents, but the problem at the time, who will bear the cost?
So it goes back to the question, what is the advantage for the sponsors?
Now, for the sponsors, partly it is like CSO job. Now, sponsors that we've had in time past and people who participate in sponsor this kind of events, you believe in it. And I will tell you the truth. The leading provider of something like this in Africa is the African Leadership Academy. The students get to pay approximately 11% of the cost. So about 89% of the cost is borne by sponsors. Fortunately, the promoter of the event in Johannesburg, Frank Swanica, used to work with McKinsey & Co. and has a lot of companies within the Silicon Valley that brings millions of dollars every year to see that these teenagers get this kind of executive education.
Now, Madam, so what are your own aspirations for this year's event?
So my aspiration for this year's event is that the program is going to be great and wonderful, impactful, that our participants will look forward to next year and then attract more people.
What are the kind of things that they stand to learn?
Well, a lot. There are games. There are games they'll participate in. There are other classes they get involved, and also they have to provide solutions to some questions and all that. So there are a lot of things to be learned.
Let me contribute to that. Now, one of the things that the children get to come into, now there are a number of problems that we generate through case studies, through business case studies, some of which we have gotten from the Lagos Business School. Now, they are taught how to turn problems into opportunities. Now, especially here in Africa, we are saddled with a teeming youth that are always seeing problems. But every great endeavor, it's a problem turned into an opportunity. The Dangote refinery is a problem turned into a refinery. Everything that you see, every business is a problem turned into an opportunity. But one of the things that when you grow up, when you are growing up as a teenager, the way you see problems like an elephant wanting to devour you. I remember reading a book some years ago. He said the eyes doesn't see, the mind sees. So a lion sees an elephant, he's seeing food. Somebody else sees an elephant, is running away. So when how to turn society's problems into solution is implanted to you at a young age, you naturally become a leader. You go back to school, and we've seen it from those who have attended our past programs. You go back to school, and some of the things that they call problems, you are finding yourself thinking in a different way. So in the last couple of months, we worked with a number of schools within Lagos here on invitation, having day programs with them. And after we are done with SS2, SS3 students, look, at the end of 2-3 hours, you need to see how these children think. It's a whole, just having to show people how to reframe their world. Now, when you grow up like that, as a teenager, I'll tell you, you see, every time I come across articles or books on Amazon, what I will say to myself, my 16-year-old self. Now, what is it saying? Things I didn't know. I wish I knew. Most of the books, you see, over 100 of such books on Amazon. Now, I didn't know that this was a better way to look at life. So I looked at it the wrong way. I wish I looked at it like this. One of my facilitators, Mr. Pradeep, is an Indian, but a Nigerianized Indian. Now, how did he become a participant, a facilitator in this program? We were in an alumni session at the Lagos Business School, and just during a light refreshment, during the alumni meeting, so I was just having a conversation. We're not in the same alumni class when I attended the Lagos Business School. So Pradeep said to me, Tunde, I really wished, see, I'm 38 now. I really wished I knew some of these things taught in the Lagos Business School when I was a teenager. I said, Pradeep, we're in the same boat. How can we pass some of this knowledge? I said, would you join me? He said, I'm a facilitator for no cost. And he's been a part of the program. He's already, if you see some of the social media posters we have there, you will see this Indian guy there. Now, when you have this way of thinking, I'll tell you, look, the testimonies from 95% of those who have attended our programs, it's phenomenal.
Okay, so I'll come back to you, madam. So when is this event supposed to happen?
So it's supposed to happen on the 5th of August, 9 a.m. till 4 p.m. till 10th of August.
Till 16th of August.
So that's about 10 days?
10 working days, yeah.
10 work days. And is it a day event, or they have to be camped somewhere?
No, it's a day event, yes.
Okay. Where is the venue?
At Oriental Hotel, Lagos.
Sorry?
Oriental Hotel, Lagos.
Oriental Hotel, Lagos. I believe there's a website for
yes, there is a yes. Okay. Learningforliving.biz/Yela.
Learning for Living.
Learningforliving.biz.
BIZ, okay.
/Yela, Youth Entrepreneurship.
Okay, so this is the website.
Yes, that's the website.
So people have to register, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And they register for how much?
Registration fee is 225,000. Okay. That what we have done as of yesterday, in partnership with the Lagos State Ministry of Education, they're giving to our 12 students for no charge, 100%. Now we are giving a number of students scholarship, not just the ones that are coming from the Lagos State Ministry of Education. We're having private people who are applying for scholarship. Now, for those who can afford it, that is the amount. For the other one, what we do, we are looking for sponsors to pay for. We have the backlog of those who are asking for scholarship now to attend the event, about 27. Now we are looking for organizations, good-spirited individuals who will take up the cost of attending this event. Okay. There's a business plan competition, and the winner of usually when they come for this training, they are broken into teams. The team that emerges as the winner of this year's business competition gets $1,000, and that team will get mentorship support to see how that idea can be bettered into a real-life business.
What the age range of the people being exposed?
13 to 23 or 13 to 25. There are a bit of outliers, but Okay. The focus, we've had exceptional cases where we took people out above 20, maybe 3 or 4 candidates, but the majority of those who attend the program are from the ages of 13 and 19.
Is there a specific landing page for prospective sponsors on the website?
There is no, if they send an email, they will need to send an email. They will need to send an email and indicate yella@learningforliving.biz. Or I think on the website, the phone numbers are there for them to make a call to provide sponsorship.
Okay. Now, I'll come back to you, madam. What is the takeaway for the students? What's the takeaway for prospective sponsors? You are the event organizer, so you should be able to tell us that.
Okay. For the students, so we have materials for the students they are taking. There are some bags and other materials, shirts, and materials they use in learning throughout this period. And for the sponsors, I guess they'll have the opportunity to showcase their own businesses also at this event. And so, suppose
you have individuals watching you right now, Mr. Kurede, I will stay there on the surname, who would want to do what they call personal social responsibility. Is there room for them to sponsor?
100%, 100%. And I would say we have, and I don't know, maybe without I didn't take their permission. So there are individuals who have paid money for a given number of students. Usually at the end of the event, we account and we tell them the specific students that attended this program because they gave this amount of money.
Okay. Now, I'm actually very interested in this. You said that the duration of the event on each day is what?
It starts by 9 and ends by 4. So we have seasoned industry experts who come in as facilitators. So far, we have about 4 MDs who have indicated who are donating 2 hours. Now, they come in the morning, they do 2-hour facilitation. The cases are usually cases that we have gotten from the Lagos Business School. They do 2-hour facilitation. Students they are broken into teams. Each team is a company, and they come up with the ideas, and they begin to work on the business plan, how they plan to run the business. Now, they do that from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. From 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. to 12 noon, they go through lectures, they present themselves, they go through case studies of Lagos Business School, have the opportunity to give solutions to these cases, expand their ability to think, then see how these cases fit into the problems they have seen locally, the businesses they want to build, and they go through all of that practice. The final day, we bring in industry experts, usually mostly from the financial sector, and they come in to sit down and they judge the different business proposals, which is the best in terms of our environment.
How about the logistics of moving around, since it's not a residential event?
Now, for some, the majority, their parents convey them to the events. But there are few cases in time past where we've had to take a responsibility for the logistics.
And that is part of the costs that have to be borne.
Part of the cost, yeah.
So now, what other peculiarities would you be expecting people to know about this event?
Okay, that this program is for every teenage child. As a child, you are supposed to have this opportunity to be exposed to this learning, and that a Yella is for everybody, irrespective of where you are, where you're coming from. It's open to everybody.
Now, what would you be saying to parents who are skeptical
about the program?
Yes.
That Yella, it's actually genuine. It's not like it's a genuine program, and it's a very impactful program. Parents should reach out to us and make more inquiries about the program to know how far about it and how to go about it.
Well, you don't think that the skepticism doesn't have basis, do you? Generally speaking.
Generally speaking, from my own experience, the skepticism is nearly zero. Most times, you see, I'll tell you, Ayo, there are a lot of Nigerians, there are a lot of elite Nigerians who have their children at the African Leadership Academy in Johannesburg, South Africa. And I think the average tenor there, fees you pay $11,000, $12,000, teenagers to do this program. So for parents who know what it is, they know what this program is about. I remember the last one we did, and you see the kind of parents who call. There was a parent who had already planned to go to the US with their children for summer. As soon as they saw this, they canceled it. As we're talking right now, I have a woman, I don't want to mention the name on screen, who works with ExxonMobil, who on seeing the program has canceled the plan to take the daughter to the US this summer. Although she says after the program, so it's not a total cancellation. She has shifted the date. So if you know what this program, there is no better summer to give your child than building them a future that attracts them, that naturally propels them to greatness.
Okay. Are they going to get in certificates at the end of the event?
They do. They get certificates, but I'll be honest with you, the certificate is the small part. The person you become is the real game.
Okay. Yeah. Because everybody wants to be certified.
Everybody wants to be certified.
Okay.
If I want to tell you the value of the certificate they get is 5%. The person they become is the real value. That's the real certificate.
Okay. But the other thing, the food they eat is also very important. They're young.
Oh, we give them very good quality food.
Okay.
The best.
Breakfast and lunch?
Breakfast and lunch,
okay.
Yes.
All right. Are there concerns that you want to allay? Allergies, lifestyle practices, and all those things that have given parents concerns, and that they don't want their children out of their sight for such concerns?
There's really none. What we do, day one, we try to gather information from parents. In some of the post-registration, once you've indicated interest, one of the conversations we have with you is finding out if you have specific things you want addressed, specific concerns you want taken care of. So before the program, we have information on that. On day one, sometimes you don't get 100% of this information before the event. Now, the first morning session, we go through all of these preliminaries. We let you know what kind of food the restaurant is coming from, the food provider, and all that. If you have any specific concern, we take them into.
Well, we have to thank you very much for this. But, okay, last question I want to ask you. Do you have any post-completion, post-event plan for the graduating students?
Okay, that's very good. Now, in time past, I would say those who have attended our program, we have 95% of them today are high flyers. One of the things we've seen for about 5%, you learn from what you have done in the past. From this program and going forward, and all future annual events we hold, we're having an alumni session and teenagers that we're going to continually mentoring and hold separate annual events for them until they become grown adults.
That's a very good one. We can only wish you the best because
Thank you.
The time is... so the date again?
From August the 5th to the 16th.
Okay. And it's from 9 a.m. every day?
From 9 a.m. to 4 p.m.
To 4 p.m. every day. Yes. Okay. Thank you so much for your time this
you,
morning. Mr. Tunde Ekpekurede is CEO Learning for Living. And we also have here Rebecca James, who is the Yella 2024 Events Manager. Thank you again for your time this morning. We're back with you in a moment. Do stay with us.
Holy
everybody just a feeling me now. Lord, you know, see not the favor when you give me with the making everybody just a feeling me. So I return the glory back to you, all the honor back to you, adoration back to you, everything I return to you. I return the glory back to you, all the honor back to you, adoration back to you, everything. Holy, 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 glory, 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 yeah, yeah, yeah. Holy, 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 glory, 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 yeah, yeah, yeah. Holy, 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 whatever you do is correct. Anything you say is correct. Even your silence correct. Now you be the dominus. Switch it. If I say make a fuck what you do another one. Yeah, yeah. I'ma do what you want. I'ma do what you say. Just whatever you want me to do. Cause I've searched all over. Couldn't find another. All of the glory. You deserve it. All the honor. You deserve it all. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, 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 holy. Glory, glory, glory. Glory, 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 glory. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Holy, 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 holy,
All right. Did you know that Loyola College is 70 years old? I didn't. A school founded as far back as what now? 1954. It's a long time. Well, for those who don't know, we've confirmed whether Loyola College is still a boys-only school, even though I have only boys in the school here right now with me. Professor Oluyemi Ogunbiyi is president, Loyola College. Olufemi, beg your pardon. Olufemi Ogunbiyi, president, Loyola College Old Boys Association. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much.
And we also have the first vice president and chairman, 70th Anniversary Planning Committee, Mr. Gbenga Biobaku. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you very much.
How does it feel to be called boys?
Yeah, you know, men are always boys. They remain boys. As you will find out. You expect them to grow, but just the same way people don't change, really.
Okay.
You know, if you see a kid and you see them at 80, you can still see what they look like.
Anyway, we'll talk about boys some other time. So, tell us about this 70th anniversary, Prof.
Okay, so we basically are celebrating because we're at 70 years. You know, traditionally, 70 years is assumed to be a point. The usual thing you say somebody is celebrating platinum anniversary because they have reached a point of strength, you know, more or less, and shown a lot of endurance through life. And typically you expect that to represent a point at which people have become reasonably wise enough to be able to look back, use all the experiences that they have gathered to control things around them. And in 70 years, Loyola College certainly has done that much because we have gone through, produced a lot of graduates out of the school who have done quite well, who have taken charge of things in the country itself and also internationally. So we feel quite kind of convinced and quite happy that we have reached this point. And that is in line with, obviously, the dream of the founders of the school.
1954 to now, Mr. Biobaku, is quite a length of time. What are the highlights of this celebration?
So yesterday we had the anniversary lecture.
Oh, it started already?
It started already. In fact, last week Friday, we had an event in the school for the students where both the students and the teachers, just a kind of normal, bring them together, provide lunch, invited a lot of senior people that spoke to them, so like a kind of career talk, and provided inspiration to some of the students. And then yesterday we had the anniversary lecture. The Minister of Finance was the guest lecturer, Mr. Wali Edu. And then we had a number of distinguished panelists. Dr. Doyin Salami was with us. The MD of Cadbury, Mrs. Oyeyemika Adeboye, and another old boy of the school, Dr. Olumide Adedeji. He was part of the panel. And an old boy of the school, Ambassador Joe Keshi, was the chairman of the occasion. And so we talked about restructuring the Nigerian economy. And there were a lot of insights, both from the private sector, also from the government sector as well, talking about how we can turn the economy of the country around. And then we had a cocktail there. So that was the event for yesterday. And then going forward, we also have events for the students coming up end of the month. We're going to have a career talk. We're going to have essay competition. And we're also going to have sports competition among the students as well. And on the 8th of August, we're going to now have the old boys are also going to be back in school. We have competitions where our old boys will participate in basketball, play with the students, do volleyball, football. And on the sides of that, I mean, it's meant to be a sports competition day. There will be people playing chess on the side. So it's going to be fun. And on the 9th of August, which is Friday, we're going to have a cocktail and variety night, which is something we normally do on an annual basis where people can come together, let down their hair, relax, reconnect with old boys, the younger ones and the older ones as well. And we're going to have an elders forum earlier that day where the elders, we define elders as people 65 and above. So they can come together. They're still part of the school, so wherever they are, we want to bring them into the fold where they also get the opportunity to connect with the younger people and with the executive as well. And then we have the gala dinner coming up on the 10th of August. It's going to be at the Ibadan Civic Center. The governor of Oyo State, Engineer Oluseyi Makinde, has agreed to be the special guest of honor, so we're expecting him. The guest speaker is Reverend Father Anthony Akinwale. So he's going to be delivering a paper there on the restructuring of the education system in Nigeria, the role of the private sector. And we'll round it up with a Thanksgiving Mass on Sunday, the 11th of August. So we have a number of things that are planned. So we have one down. We still have a few. So exciting programs coming up.
Sounds like a 1 month program.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because we started July, August, so it's like a 2 months. 2 months for
2 months.
Yeah, but I mean, if you put 2 for because the first one was on the 12th, yeah, so like a 1 month.
Well, Prof, with the array of events lined up, particularly the sports days, that's some kind of Loyo Olympics.
Yes, but Olympics is not strange to us. We've had old boys who have actually been to the Olympics.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can say that much. But the essential thing, of course, is that the old boys have kept a pact with the school, trying to ensure that the ones who are currently there enjoy as much as possible what we enjoyed at the time we were there. You know what happened to the school after the government took over schools? Everything seemed to have just gone down. And we have decided to revamp and rack up the status of things for the current students to enjoy, apart from our usual, the old of the old boys association being comradeship amongst the old students, just to ensure that we're keeping an eye on everybody. But with the students in there, we've also, a lot of the old boys have contributed in different ways to ensure that through projects, a lot of things have been happening there. So we, for instance, some set has come to develop the library, some set has come to develop a computer lab, some sets have come to develop other labs like science labs, and then the sports facilities, because we believe in a rounded education for the students of the school. So if you go, you'll find a new tennis court that's been done, a new basketball court. We had one of our old boys who played in the NBA, for instance, who actually came to help to develop the basketball court. And we have some very interested old boys who are present almost all the time, training the current students for basketball and all that. Then, of course, we have a newly refurbished also football field, which in Ibadan, I think in Oyo State, everybody comes to try to play there because it looks more like next status to the usual state stadia that we have in Ibadan. Even government tells people to go and play their games there. So the old boys have done quite well in that respect. And many sets, just even things like furniture in the school, educational material. Like I said, the library was well put together, a lot of nice books for the students. And then, of course, another set came and built a new hall out of a previous former dining hall was converted. One set actually did it up into a modern hall, which has served purposes like allowing students to write external exams in a convivial, conducive environment, and also available for social functions for all students and the current students in the place.
Possibly even raise some money for the alumni.
Yeah, well, eventually we expect that it should be commercialized enough to raise money to support the school with all the other programs we have lined up for them. Because the school needs a lot of support. Some of the states have, in terms of academic performance, for instance, we monitor the outcome at the school sat level, and we have, some sets have privately employed teachers in subjects that we think that the students have not been doing well. And we have been running boot camps during the summer for maths and other science subjects for the students for some time now. And that's the engagement of the old boys in that respect is, I think, for me, an important aspect of the activities of the
Tell us about this hall.
The hall? Which one?
This building is the Akeredolu.
This is not the Akeredolu Hall.
Okay.
This is just another block. This is a classroom block.
It was refurbished.
This is a classroom block that was refurbished by the students and by the one of the sets. They basically did up the
library.
This is the library.
This is the library.
This is the library, and you can see the library, well built reading section. And if you are able to see other profiles, you see the books lined up. The other encyclopedias, by the way, because we still believe in some of that traditional education. If we see another scope,
this is like a hall.
This is a hall.
This
is the old
refurbished old library.
Is it the old library or the old chapel?
Old library, yeah.
Now this is the Akeredolu Hall. This Akeredolu Hall was actually our former dining hall, which had become dilapidated. But the set that Governor Akeredolu belonged to, they came together to rebuild this. But amongst themselves, they decided to honor him by calling it the Akeredolu Hall. At the time it was launched, that's when they now put the name on it. And when we did the launching, we had other governors of his ilk, his friends and colleagues from the party who came. Their Southwest leader and all that, the governor of Oyo State, at which time we actually talked to him about other projects, and we hope that since it is still under their administration, that they will further develop infrastructure for the school. The field that I talked about is not showing now, but we still hope to build a pavilion around that field. We actually asked the government at the time to assist with that at the time of the launching, hoping that we can actually get a proper kind of almost a stadium out of it.
Okay.
That might even allow commerce, like they have in, say, for instance, Liberty Stadium in Ibadan, where they have shops at the bottom, and without littering the school, because at the moment we still see pockets of people who come to do marketing, sell small products for the students. We hope to take care of that because we have another project that we plan to put up, which we call the Alumni Building. We're hoping that we can raise funds during this anniversary celebration to put up this Alumni Building that will incorporate like a talk shop for the students instead of having just small pockets of people coming to sell sweets and biscuits for them. They can have a more sensible environment where they can take their break and relax in between classes.
Okay. Well, Mr. Biwaku, so there are those who are looking at, this conversation and wondering, okay, so this event is going to last a whole month. What is the takeaway? What are the expected outcomes?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of, so for example, for the students, we think that this is going to benefit them, it's going to provide them with inspiration. We're bringing a lot of people from different areas. We're doing the career talk for them. And even from the ones we've done already, there's a lot of inspiration. Students ask questions and they are really keen. So we feel that is going to be good for them. Also, for the old boys, it's a good opportunity for us to reconnect, for people to come together in terms of look at what are the different projects that we want to do for the school. We talked about the alumni project. This 70th anniversary has given us an opportunity to bring a lot of people together, even our members that are abroad, and also focus on the needs of the school and the things that we want to do and what the alumni will be able to achieve. Also, it provides us with an opportunity. With the 70th anniversary is giving us that opportunity to engage with the government. So in terms of what the role of the alumni itself will be in the school, so that the alumni we have more participation and we have a little more control so that we can take the school at least close to the level that it was when we were there. So our dream is that the students that are there today, they should be able to enjoy and benefit from some of the things that we enjoyed. I mean, when our own generation, Prof's generation, my generation is not Prof's generation, it's a higher generation. But from all of those generations, I mean, there were the quality of the education in the school. The early years of the school where Loyola, the days where we had the 21 Wonder Boys, we had 100% pass rates in WAEC in those days. It was called WASC in those days. They had 100% pass rate, and where you had people that had aggregate 6, several of them. So the Loyola was famous in terms of his academic excellence, and not only academic excellence, also in the area of sports. We excelled in sports. We produced a lot of people that represented Nigeria at international competitions. So that kind of all-round development that those older sets enjoyed, we want the younger sets to also be able to enjoy something close to that. And to be able to do that, I mean, the government alone cannot provide that. So the alumni's involvement is very important. Okay. So we're trying to galvanize the alumni support and involvement. And we're also trying to engage the government to give us the leverage to be able to do these things as well.
So tell us, since many old boys are going to show up on that day,
yeah.
Let me ask you, did you have a nickname when you were in school?
Okay, I will. Okay, my own time. I had a number of nicknames, but one of the nicknames was Beeps. So that's what Beeps. My classmates.
Okay,
that's what they call me.
Okay,
yeah, they call me Beeps.
Okay. What did they call you, Prof?
I don't think I had a specific nickname. I mean, there's maybe Femo, that kind of thing, because that's my name is Femi.
Okay.
Of course, there are lots of nicknames. Some of those, they still follow people everywhere. I will follow them to their graves.
So who are you most looking forward to seeing at the event when the old boys gather? By the person's nickname, please.
By the person's nickname. at this point in time, for me, it's different in the sense that I have a lot of people, both seniors and my classmates that I haven't seen in a while.
So feel free to mention 5 of them.
I know those who are around, but I know some who are not around. Some of them don't have nicknames. They have their names. But it's difficult for me to start pulling nicknames now because there are a few nicknames that will bring...
No, I understand that. I understand that. I understand that perfectly.
There's a nickname called Anwi, for instance. There's a nickname called Anwi.
Anwi?
Anwi. You know, with that velvet fruit?
Yes.
A small one.
Oh, yes.
Because of his, so there's a guy they used to call Anwi.
Okay.
There's another guy they used to call Tiny. These are people who know who they are if you're listening, but they know themselves. I know one will be there, hopefully. I'm not sure about the other. But then there are... let me not call it. Let me not call it.
You remember some yourself? I mean, I'm expecting to see at least some of. I mean, I can't
by their nicknames. No exposure.
I will pass on their nicknames. but I mean, I'm expecting to see. I mean, quite a number of our old boys. I mean, the older sets, quite a number of them showed up yesterday at the anniversary lecture, and I expect to see a lot of them back.
So, what would you say was one of your own high points in school?
Yeah, I mean, one of my high points for me, you know, I mean, I was a gentle boy in school. I wasn't as troublesome as Prof. So I enjoyed.
You will face a panel.
Except that he has no right to talk about that because he doesn't even know.
We have stories. And I still have some stories yesterday, you know, from some of his colleagues. But I mean, I think for me, I enjoyed the sports in the school. I mean, I participated in handball, and then also I mean, I did a little bit of athletics as well, and so I enjoyed the sports in the school, and I also I enjoyed the library was very well stocked, and I mean, at that time when I was in school, I was very curious, especially about international affairs. And I had some of my friends, so we used to go to the library. We used to have a lot of debates and arguments about Russia and America. That was when Cold War was still at its height. And there was also a lot of debate about whether America is stronger than Russia or Russia is stronger than America. So I used to go to the library. We had encyclopedia at that time. So get a lot of information, what is going on in international affairs. We equipped ourselves, and so that gave me a broad view, kind of global broad view of the world. Yeah,
interesting.
So those were very interesting.
And all of your conversation didn't involve North Korea at all. I mean,
at that time, North Korea was not in the mix. It wasn't in the mix. It wasn't in the mix.
What are the highlights for you, Prof?
Some of them. We had bad teachers who were, you know, key people. Who, like, across all schools, they stood out, for instance. So, like he's describing, for some of the subjects that were offered in our school, including, like, our French classes, music classes, they were different they broadened the educational base for a lot of the students. But then we had other social programs where we interacted with schools, like the literary and debating things. And for us, we had a tradition for Loyola anniversary, that the whole school will be fed on that day. And traditionally, they will buy a cow and a pig, and they bring them to the school. The pigs used to be like kept in the bathrooms, and by morning they would have gone through the wall almost of separating the bathrooms, almost break them down because of their snots. But then they will kill them, and everybody will have rice, and then have a piece of pork or something.
What was your favorite food in school? Which was the favorite meal of the students in school at the time?
We had one woman called Iyala Lupon. And she was known for her beans, for instance, in particular. And then there are the popular thing, the fish head. The students, some of the students like to eat the fish head, and then the beans.
I think maybe that's where some of them became surgeons. Because you have to be a surgeon. The fish. So just lastly, Mr. Biowaku, the dates again for the celebrations.
So the dates, so we have for the sports competition, so that's going to be on the 8th of August. 8th of August.
Okay.
And then on the 9th of August, we have the Elders Forum, and then we have the Cocktail and Variety Night.
Okay.
And then the gala dinner is coming up on the 10th of August.
Okay.
And that same day in the morning, we're going to have the groundbreaking ceremony.
It seems there's a lot of activities before the end of next month.
Yeah, there is a lot of. And the one other thing I wanted to talk about is that we have we had a book launch yesterday.
Okay.
And there's this book, Loyola Stories.
Why didn't you tell us about this one? We have looked at some of those stories. But let me just hope that we'll be able to bring you some other time before the end of this, celebration to talk about this. I have to thank you very much for coming here now.
Thank you.
Mr. Gbenga Biowaku is first Vice President and Chairman, 70th Anniversary Planning Committee. Thank you for your time. And we've also had with us Professor Olufemi Ogunbiyi, President, Loyola College, Old West Association. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Shut up to call you a boy at this age, but hey, what can I do? Now, talking about boys, when we return from this break, we want to talk about mental health disorders starting before the age of 14 and about 75% before the age of 18. Of course, it's also well known that mental health is a public crisis with extensive stigma, and that has been substantially neglected in Nigeria. Now, studies in Nigeria revealed widespread lack of knowledge about mental health, particularly mental health disorders, and the unfortunate negative attitudes towards people with mental illness. Our guest this morning is Deji Shomi. He's a family systems engineer. He's right here with us in the studio. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here again.
Yeah. Are we aware of the problem?
Yes, we are aware of the problem, and no, we're not aware of the problem. But before I go into the problem, I observed a few things, just two observations that I like to run by you, and just humor me. Coming in this morning, there's a bit of rainfall in the studio, on the premises. It's not obvious here anyway. And it was a great experience. I don't know the people that handle your gate or your security, but they spoke to me extremely well, greeted me enough to wait for a reply. How was your family? And they waited. They weren't saying it in passing. And they said, oh, okay, because of the rain, to facilitate you getting in before rain hits you in any way, okay, please do come in, but you have to park here because this is reserved for our staff and all of that. Extremely courteous. They were so courteous that while trying to fill in at the security gate, I had to ask the guy to please sit down in the car. You are in the rain. Sit down. I did not think. I just told him to sit down. He was extremely courteous. Knew me, not from anywhere. Then he came to me. Oh, channels management have a wonderful staff atmosphere and culture. Or maybe because I mentioned the name Mr. Makinde, then I got that treatment. Either way, Channels is excellent in their culture, or Makinde is excellent in his culture.
So what does this got to do with mental health?
Now, the second one that's got to do with mental health is that I observed that this is the second time I'm seeing you here, and also on YouTube, I see you wear yellow. And I'm like, huh. So the first thing that came to my mind is that I like to wear black. I like to do black. Why do I like black? It saves me time to decide on what to wear. I'm simplistic in my dressing. I have this same native I'm wearing here, probably 60 in my wardrobe. It's easy for me. As long as it's neat and tidy, let me get that ironed up and I'm gone.
Incidentally,
I'd like to know.
My favorite color.
Like your favorite color, but I see you wear yellow a lot.
Well, you know, TV likes to lie.
So you like to lie. So what is the
I'm just kidding.
behind
but
it?
Sometimes if, for instance, the U.S. president will wear certain colors on a regular.
Yes.
Mr. Trump's color is blue.
Yeah. Definitely.
Obama's color was red.
Yes.
Almost all the time. The blue tie, red tie.
Brand recognition.
Exactly. So all of that is...
That's beautiful.
And then generally, security persons, particularly Secret Service, most times black, white.
Okay.
Take a look around. That's what you will find most of the time. And black sunshades. And the sunshades are always all black. And for good reason. Whatever it is that they have in mind. I haven't done any research. But, every profession seems to have its own calling, so to speak. So, unless there is a reason that psychologists also wear black.
No, this is personal for me. This is just me.
Okay.
And I'm not a psychologist. I'm a family life practitioner, unlike the part one of this matter. But I seem to just like you. I don't know why. Maybe because my name is Ayodeji, I have the prefix Ayo as well. So I will say, okay, let's remove our formalities.
Well, maybe what you're trying to do here right now is take over this conversation. No. I'm the host of this program. Now,
just that last bit.
Okay.
I think to enhance our relationship, can I call you Ayo as well? Because my name is Ayodeji and I am fond of you.
Okay, fine. You can call me by my first name.
But
my job compels me to call you by your last name, Mr. Shum.
I would prefer you actually call me by my name.
Okay.
It makes things easier for me. Now, last thing before I leave this interview back to you, yes, I know I've hijacked it, is that this morning I woke up. My wife was up before me. She was on a phone call. So I just went to her and I tried to hug her. And she was like, what are you doing? And I was like, babe, why? Why? And I just went back into the room, pretending to sulk and also sulking at the same time. So when she was done with the call, she came over to the room. I was like, oh, sorry about that. I was like, oh, no apologies. I just did not understand that's not you and I. You know that I'm just seeing you for the first time this morning. And obviously, this is how we greet each other every morning. It's a hug, and it's a kiss, and it's a blessing. And she said, you feel bad. I said, no, don't feel bad. I am on a call. It was a very serious call, and I wouldn't like to be distracted. When I see you, I'm distracted. And I was like, I was just being petty. She explained to me, and that was fine. I made my apologies, and eventually still grabbed her and kissed her and hugged her. Anyway, then I dressed up and came here. I'm smiling. Why? Because I did hug her and kiss her before I got to leave. We didn't leave it negative. Now, bringing it to how it affects our mental health. Mental health is, like was told at the last time, is how we maximize our own, how can I say it now, our profile, how we maximize what our potential is in being able to navigate life, in being able to navigate our day-to-day, in being productive at work, even in the school environment, and being able to manage our interpersonal relationships as we go here and there. Because these things affect how we think, how we behave, how we feel, and how we see the world. So social health is extremely important. Now, why I said we've heard of it and we've not heard of it is that we have our way of listening but not absorbing. I don't know why it happens to be that way. When you listen, most of the time, you now take an action, if you get me. Which means that if I hear about social health and how it affects every single person on earth, I am supposed to try and educate myself. If I hear a word I've not heard before, or I'm reading a novel and I pick up a new vocabulary, I immediately go to find the meaning. I probably can guess the meaning at times, but I want to be sure. So I go and do that. If I see a rash on my body, I'm on Google to go and search it before I know that I have to go and reach out to a doctor. If I see a phenomenon that I've not observed before, I immediately try to learn, to know about it, because immediately I understand it, then I know what's next to do. Then I can find a solution. But we don't find solution here. What we appear to do is we kind of stigmatize. We stigmatize and we go into a state of fear. You always hesitate. You don't do your things on time. You're a procrastinator. So tomorrow, when I don't come in early, or I don't submit a paper early, I'm sorry, you know I'm a procrastinator, you know how I procrastinate. I'll do better next time. Now, you refuse to take responsibility. You just shifted it on the excuse that was given to you that you are a procrastinator. That is exactly what we are doing. Now, I'll go to attach it from the state of the stigma and the fear. Mental health is just a state of being of the human being. There is our physical health. There is our emotional health. There's our social health. It's just health. You can look at me and say, oh, Deji is obese. But what you might not know because you don't stay with is that Deji does not mess with exercise. Despite being obese, there's a Harvard study that says that a fat person who still exercises for 30 minutes a day will still live longer by having a stronger heart than somebody who looks fit but does not exercise at all. So it's all about the education. What do you know? What do you know? What do you know? In the case of mental health is not the same thing as mental illness. But in the case of mental health, you can be empowered or unempowered about it. You can be mentally healthy or be mentally unhealthy.
You know, what is interesting for me in this conversation is the young adults. We just, finished a conversation about young entrepreneurship and all. And they're talking about children between 13 and 25. What is sad and painful for me, excuse me, is that many parents may not even know when their child is having a mental health issue, just as we spoke about last week.
Yes.
I said, for instance, earlier, jokingly that, TV likes to lie. Well, there is a lot of pretending in some quarters, even though the information that will come from TV is the truth, right? The people, may not, be themselves the normal way you would see them on the street most of the time. Now, talking about lying, it's a kind of culture for young people to lie. It's not something you learn. It's something that just happens. What is that in the life of a child or in the relationship between a parent and that child?
Okay, that is basically pressure. That's what it is. It's pressure. I'll explain what pressure it is. Now, in the case of mental health, because we are thinking it is mental illness, we don't want to hear it. We are not looking at it. Because you are not looking at it, you don't know the symptoms. You're not even that observant. Parenting is what sorts out all these things at the end of the day. We can say what we like or state everything we can to manage it, but to solve it is through parenting. Let's look at these children, the way they are and what they have to go through. They are the popular kids in school. That's one thing those are the things that life dish up, and there's nothing we can do about it. There will always be cliques. There will always be popular people. Now, most of the time, when you find people who say, I don't like this, I don't like that, actually, it's an inverted mirror. Everybody wants to be in the limelight. That's the truth. Everybody wants to be cool. Everybody. If you find yourself in the situation of somebody you are envying or you are judging or condemning, deep inside you, if that situation occurs to you, you are going to love it and take it. because we're all looking for the same thing. Now, the fact that they don't belong in that particular cool kid gang, they're not popular this way, they don't stand out for anything, makes them want to belong in one way or the other. So first of all, they play with it in their minds. If I was, then they are not. Then they get an opportunity to do something about it. Of course they would lie. There's a social pressure. There's a pressure of the parent who wants you to be the best in the world, who wants you to be honest, who wants you to be accomplished, but who did not do anything to get you there. Of course, when it comes to some things, you're going to lie. Now, there's the pressure of also wanting to... People believe that children, young adults do drugs, and that's why they suffer mental health illnesses and all whatnot. As in the psychosis, the revelation of what we call, oh, you are mad, and all of that, that showing psychosis. But the fact of the matter is that, what if that child started to smoke or to drink so that they don't get left out of that gang that drinks and smokes? The truth of the matter is that if your child is being bullied or being discriminated against, at least they can come back home to a place of love and say, if those ones don't accept me, at least mom or dad are going to accept me. But do you know what dad said? What? They hit you and you came back home crying? Boys are strong. Go back out there. The mommy says, oh, so, why? You're going to be a weakling about this. You're going to be, then go back out there. So the child has to find his or her own way. So the child has to find their way.
I'm a little.
Are you trying to say where
I get that, but unfortunately we don't have much time. But I'm just trying to put, make some sense of how come parents don't have significant or adequate understanding of what their child is going through.
Sure. You have to be available and have a relationship with your child to know what is going on in your child's life. This is Lagos, an economic hubbub that suffers traffic every single day. Some hours are taking you out of the house, either you like it or not. But spending time with somebody is not the only thing we consider being close to someone, as in your child, so to speak. Then, what are your own parenting skills? What you don't know, you cannot give. Wholesome parenting is actually mentoring, allowing a child be able to make mistakes, and you guide that child without making that child feel bad or feel unsafe in the same environment. That is the only way it works. There is that. But what you don't have, you can't give. Now, what people don't know is that a plan and education and love is all we need. There has to be a plan. We've come together. We are now a family. We are one. We are going to have a family. What do we want our children to be? How are they going to be to the society? And what are they going to stand for? Then you create your list and you open a folder. Resilience, strength in adversity, honesty, mastery, freedom, confidence, strong will, truthfulness, integrity. All those values are parallel to the academic education. You have to list all you want your child to be. People always wonder, why do the princes and the princesses always turn out regal? They don't turn out regal. Before this child was born, there was a plan created for that child, for the kind of education they will have. And by education, I don't mean just academic. Cultural, leadership skills, assertion, all those things are already being put in that child from day one. Do you do that for your child? Do you support your child that way? The example of the beginning of this interview, where I hijacked this interview, was just to prove to you the importance and the parts of which mental health affects. They welcomed me well. That is social interaction. They are comfortable. I am comfortable. I didn't make them feel bad. They didn't make me feel bad. They can't be ostracized. We didn't give each other pressure. I spoke to you, I love your attire. I enhanced the friendship between both of us by doing that. And we can take it to the next level. I've not given you social pressure. I've not given you peer pressure. All I did was just to try and understand you and love you this way that you are. And you did exactly the same for me. The main elements are emotional, they are psychological, and they are social well-being. How do you perform in the environment? How do you perform like at work? How do you manage your emotions? And how do you interact with people? Which affects productivity and all of that.
It goes back to the parents, obviously.
It goes back to the parents. So that's why I'm saying that, yes, we can have techniques to manage it like self-care, stress management. We can have all that to manage it. But we can change the culture and remove it, which is the main solution, and it is parenting. Intentional and wholesome parenting.
But you know that the difficulty, you can't take away the difficulty of the parents balancing everything. In fact, one of the conversations that I'm hoping that one of these days we'll have, on this program between you and I, would be work-life balance. Because I have a good number of people have no idea what work-life balance is. If, for instance, we're talking about work, what is work? If, for instance, we're talking about life, what is life? It's a conversation, that we'll have
that one. That is a big one.
Yeah, but so lastly now on this issue that we are looking at, for the young adults, because when you get to a certain age, you definitely have to begin to take responsibility for your own life.
Thank you. That's where I was going.
Good. So what is the responsibility that they have to start taking today?
Dear young adults, specifically from 13, 14 to 25, you've been parented, but it is time to reparent yourself. Blaming your parents, blaming the system, blaming the government, blaming the environment brings you no results. It wastes your time. Right now is a time of development. You can Google what you need to develop. Google is AI as well, so as ChatGPT. What does a young adult need to live a fulfilling life? It will catalog it for you.
So that question again?
What does a young adult need to live a fulfilled life? It will catalog it for you. It will tell you all the things you need. Assertion, all the skills, all the values, everything you need. But you have to take responsibility for it. Nobody is entitled. Nothing is given to anybody. But you can go for what you believe in. You can. You can get it.
Well, again, I intend for us to stay on this conversation about young adults for a while because Nigeria is an African country and African nations have a huge young population.
Yes.
That if we don't pay attention to them from now, we have lost the future of Africa. Thank you so much for coming today again. Deji Shomi is a family systems engineer. I appreciate your time today.
Thank you so much, Aaron.
Now, you may have seen his video a couple of times on this program. Well, whether you can guess or not, that will be our guest on Artist of the Week after the wrap.
Welcome to the wrap on Sunrise, where you get a quick roundup of all the big news within the showbiz space. My name is Abide Medero, and we'll begin unwrapping the industry for you by telling you that Maven Records singer Ira Star is getting a lot of credit after performing an acoustic version of her latest heartbreak song featuring Chris Martin, the lead singer of the legendary rock band Coldplay. This performance further solidifies her speedy rise in the international music soundscape, including her recent meeting with Grammy winner Rihanna. Although the original song itself featured American singer Giveon, this acoustic version is assisted by the Coldplay man on the piano.
Both could make it work. When I'm gone, you make me nervous. If you hurt me, I deserve it. I've been acting foolishly. Forget what you were.
Their performance comes after Coldplay teased an unreleased single, Good Feeling, featuring vocals from Ira Star, in what sees the Nigerian Grammy nominee becomes the only fourth woman that Coldplay will feature following collaborations with Rihanna, Beyoncé, and Selena Gomez in their nearly 30-year career. That's some big news for this singer right there. Speaking about Afrobeat and its current global exploit, American rapper Rick Ross is currently drooling on his Nigerian counterpart, Black Bones, as he continues to express fascination with making an African-themed album. In an Instagram live interaction with Black Bones, Rick Ross revealed that his favorite song of the Nigerian rapper is his hit single, Blink, featuring Amare and Benson. During the conversation, Black Bones explained the inspiration for this song.
Everybody that's on my side, that's in the U.S., that's tuned in, and everywhere else around the world. One of your favorite records that I love is Bling. Oh, it's Bling. You know what I mean? It's just for anybody that's you know, because like I say, man, you got so much potential. You're going to be bigger than the world. But, you know, just for anybody that's never heard nothing, I would recommend them to check out Bling and tell me how you came up with that vibe and that collaboration.
In other news, reality television show Big Brother Naija is back. An actor, model, and Big Brother Africa alumni and 2010 winner Uti Nwachukwu has dispelled rumors that he might be taking over the job of anchoring the next show from the show's original host for many years, Ebuka Obi Uchendu. While hosting the media launch of its 9th season scheduled to kick off on the 28th of this month, Nwachukwu finally addressed the rumor which many have been peddling. The new season will arrive with a new twist which will see contestants go into the reality show in pairs. This is the first time the show will knowingly allow contestants who are familiar in the outside world to compete in the game.
Oh, no, the host is still the host. The host is still Ebuka. Of course, Ebuka is the host of the show. He's a fantastic presenter, also an alumni of the Big Brother Naija franchise. He does an amazing job. He gets better every year.
Now, in a move to advocate for more awareness for women's reproductive health, Nollywood actress Inedima Okoje has revealed that 3 years after undergoing an invasive surgery to remove fibroids, the fibroids have returned. In a short Instagram video, the actress addressed her followers and fans and updated them about the challenges she's facing and her plans moving forward. In the video titled My Fibroid Journey, she explained that the video is meant to encourage other women going through similar gender health challenges.
It's been 3 years since the surgery, but unfortunately, the fibroids are back, which, you know, obviously is very disheartening. It hasn't been like the easiest couple of months. But I'm okay. I've come to terms with it. I definitely don't want to do another surgery anytime soon. So this time I want to take a holistic approach in shrinking the fibroids, you know, backed by faith. You know, the stats of this thing, too many women, especially Black women, go through it. And I just feel like it wasn't being talked about enough. It's still not being talked about enough. I don't even know if enough is being done to find like a real remedy for it.
Let's wrap it all up today with stories of the 53rd birthday announcement of veteran actress Kate Henshaw. The actress, who appeared to be in good spirit and of course good shape as she turns a year older and has taken to social media to celebrate the occasion. She posted 3 pictures of herself rocking black ensembles and expressed birthday gratitude in her post caption. Of course, this has now sent her fans, followers, and colleagues and well-wishers into a frenzy as they are now camped in our comment section with beautiful messages. Wish we could throw 53 hearty cheers in celebration of this dexterous actress, but you know, time is not our friend and will not permit us to, however, say a big happy birthday to her and wish her many, many happy returns. And that's a fine place to leave it today. My name is Abidemi Dairu, and Sunrise will be back with Ayo Makinde. Bye-bye.
Taste, gospel singer, songwriter, producer, and entrepreneur. I didn't know about that entrepreneur part.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, well, there's a big news. We'll come to that. Started playing the piano at 7.
Yeah.
How in the universe?
Well, it's a God-given talent, you know. How I started, one day we went to visit my cousin, my small cousin with my mom. So his mom bought him this small toy piano. So I got there, I saw the piano. So we visited, and when it was time for us to leave, I started fighting with him. We were dragging his piano. You know, the Bible says the kingdom of God suffered violence, and violence taketh it by force. So I was fighting with him. So his mom just came and said, if I just leave it for him, I'll buy you another one. And that was how I got my first piano.
Wow.
That was how it started. You know, I was playing it every day. Every time we had a visitor, I said, Uncle, let me play for you, sing them. And that's how it started. And my dad saw that I was interested, so they gave their support. Yeah.
That uncle now, to watch you play, he has to pay.
Yeah.
So why gospel music?
Well, it couldn't have been anything else because I was born into a Christian background. My mom is a scripture union leader. So from childhood, all I know is church. And then they were taking me to church almost every day of my life. So I didn't know any other life. I didn't have no choice.
Okay, well, that's a good one. But then along the line, is that also a basis for going into music full-time, professionally?
Honestly, I wanted to be a pilot. I never wanted to be a musician.
Really? Is that why you have this sunshade?
Yeah, aviators. You know, I wanted to be a pilot. That's what my dad wanted as well. But the music thing was so strong. It was so strong that it overwhelmed me, you know, so I kind of gave in. And when I moved to Lagos to come and live with my uncle, you know, I used to be part of the Anglican church. But when I moved to Lagos to live with my uncle, I didn't find any Anglican church, so I have to start attending a Pentecostal church. They were attending from that time, and from them, a friend took me to Love World Christ Embassy, and that's where the dream, you know, came alive.
Okay. Which was, for those who are probably seeing or hearing of Frank Edwards for the first time, which was the song that you would say really blew up and got people to know you?
Couple of them, because I've recorded many songs, but You Too They Bless Me, Mama, and Ogenedo. I think those ones stood out really from the past.
And which one caught the attention of Don Moen? I'm shocked. Maybe I should ask you first of all. Were you expecting a Don Moen to just say, come on, boy, I like you, come work for me? Or was there a competition? Or what exactly was it? How did it start?
If anybody in the world told me that will happen, I'd say it's a lie, you know. How it started is, number one is that Don Moen, you know, when I was in Enugu, I was hawking for my mom. I was selling, you know, as a young boy. I usually would stop by everywhere they are playing Don Moen's music, you know, people who sell video CDs by the roadside. I usually would stop for hours to watch him until they are done playing, then I move. So he's someone that I've watched for years on TV everywhere. You know, so fast forward, you know, I came to Lagos, there's The Experience, and they had a press conference for The Experience. So I saw him there. And he was talking to someone I didn't know, you know, Pastor Paul, who is the convener of The Experience, had already spoken to him about me. I didn't know. So I was just, I saw him, I said to someone, please, I need to take a picture with him. I gave the guy my phone, said, please, I'm going to approach him. So I don't know if he will say yes or no. So when I get close, just be snapping. You know? So even,
which year was this?
This was 2016 or 18 or thereabouts.
Okay.
You know, so I went to him, and I said, sir, please, can I get a picture? By the time, you know, the guy had already taken like 40 pictures. And then he said, no problem. He was still talking. When he was done talking to the person, and then he looked at me and said, Frank? I'm like, excuse me, did he just call my name? You know? I said, yes, you're the guy. You're the guy. Pastor Paul talked about, guess what? I have all your songs on my phone. I'm like, what's going on here? And then he brought his phone. I started scrolling. He showed me. He said, I love this one. Mama, mama. And he started singing it. See, at that time, I lost it. I lost it completely. All I came to do was take a picture and just, scream my life out. But here he's calling my name, telling me he has my songs on his phone. And there and then he said to me, we must do something together.
Wow.
That was how it started. I didn't love it for it. I didn't know it was going to happen. I was never expecting it. If anybody told me it was going to happen, I would say, not possible. It's just God's grace.
And how has it been? What role does that kind of thing... Okay, because, you said someone's told him about you.
Yeah.
But then I'm almost certain from what you just said now, Pastor Paul couldn't have just given him the songs.
No.
That time. So that means he must have had the songs before himself, right?
Yeah.
So what was it that attracted him? Because you must have spoken afterwards.
Yes. He said, to be honest, I don't know how. The music got to his phone. I don't know. But he said he's been listening to it, and then Pastor Paul had also spoken to him, and he said to me, I love these songs. When he sat down with me, he said, I love the song, Mama. He asked me, what does it mean? I started to explain. He said, no, we must do something together. He said, every time I hear you play, if I close my eyes, I could imagine I'm the one playing. Yeah. And that was because I have listened to him over the years as a child. I've been listening. So when he said that, I felt like crying. He said, every time I hear you play, if I close my eyes, I could imagine I was the one playing. You sound just like me when you sit down on that piano. So that gave me so much energy, so much encouragement. And then he took me in almost as a family. That relationship is still on till today. It has amplified what I'm doing.
Now, I asked that question because there is always a place for mentoring.
Yes, sir.
But many people undermine that place of mentoring, particularly in music, be it secular or gospel. Before you met him and after you met Don Moen, tell us what your situation has been like. What's been the transition? Before you met him, you were doing something that so much attracted him to you. And then after, what's changed?
Now, before I met him, I was doing my own thing, I have recorded some songs, people know me in my church, I minister in my church programs,
But you can sound humble all you like because Don Moen had your songs on his phone. So you can sound humble all you like.
That, had happened, but before I met him, I was just doing what I thought was right, music-wise, recording and singing. But after I met him, we had series of mentorship meetings, some of them not planned. Sometimes he just sits me down, and sometimes I ask him some questions. And I discovered that 80% of what I thought I knew, I didn't know. Like 80% of what I thought I knew about both music distribution, composition, songwriting, performing, and, ministering. I thought, when he'll be speaking to me, I said, I thought I knew this thing. I thought there was the right way to do it. So I've been doing this thing wrong all along, Like, sometime I asked him, we were writing a song together. So, and I said, okay, let's say, everybody lift up your hand. And he said, why would you force anybody to lift up their hand? He said, that sounds like manipulation. When you minister to people, the Spirit of God will lead them in their heart to either lift up their hand or to lay on the floor or to whatever the Spirit ministers. But don't be the one to tell them, because that's like you're trying to force them to do it. I'm like, oh, I've said that all my life. Even on stage, I thought it was okay.
Oh, wow.
So the mentorship has really, really shaped my ministry, his support, his networks. He opened up his network. So mentorship is a very important aspect of every artist because you might have zeal and passion to run, energy to run, the will to do it. But if you're not mentored by someone who have walked the road you're planning to walk, you're not going to know where the problems are. You might end up learning by your mistakes instead of learning from, the experience of your mentors.
Now, If you would counsel anyone in music now who believes that they have all the talent in the world, they have all the energy, they have the skills to write songs and all those things, they know the best producers and all, but what would you be telling them is missing if they don't have a mentor?
Well, if you don't have a mentor, a lot is missing, because the danger of not having a mentor is that you'll be learning from your own mistakes. It will steal many years from you. I'm telling you, because one error you can make an error that will take you 5, 20 years to correct. But if you ask someone who has been that person who has done that thing, they'll say to you, don't try this, don't try this. So number one, it's going to save you time, and it will kind of amplify what you thought, that you already know. So what I would say to them is, get a mentor, and don't be in a hurry to shine. Don't be in a hurry because you never really get a second opportunity to correct a first impression. So you want to get it right at the first time. You want to get it right. And the best way to do that is don't be in a hurry to come out. Be well taught.
Now, one of the things that's also being an issue in the gospel circle, and I don't know what your own thoughts are about it, and I'd like to take it, is that a good number of musicians, particularly in church, feel that they're not getting the due recognition as ministers like the speakers do. Singers don't get that kind of recognition. Musicians don't get that kind of recognition. Meanwhile, they are the first to perform and, as we say, take people to the presence of God. I don't know. I wonder where they were in the first place. But what's your take on that? The due recognition or even remuneration that the honorarium or whatever it is that musicians think they should be getting, whether they're music makers, songwriters, performers, or whatever, as opposed to the speakers?
Well, first of all, music is in church is a supporting ministry. Music is a supporting ministry in the sense that God gives the man of God the vision, and the word, and what to do. So music is supporting that ministry, even though it's a worship to God. And the musician is not the one who brings the presence of God in a church service. The presence of God is already there. The presence of God is everywhere. It does not come down when you sing. Don't think of that highly of yourself, no. But what happens is that when we minister, we, encourage others to worship. When we minister, we lift up their spirit. It's not as if, we bring this presence of God. It's already there, So, and secondly, music is a supporting ministry in church. So I see no reason why any music minister will be trying to rub shoulders with their pastor or their, their leaders. So if you find yourself, if you recognize that this is the place, this is my office, then you will judge right. But if you don't know where your office is, then you think somebody is outdoing you. Then when you talk about honorarium simply means to, what they give you to honor your presence, to honor, your coming. Now, sometimes you don't demand it, because church is not the only place where the music minister ministers. Sometimes corporate bodies call you. Charge them 100 billion if you want. Corporate bodies call you. There are many, different types of events. But when it comes to church, for me, when it comes to church, we are careful. All we want to know is there's a team, and right, they are going to fly in from one state to the other state, flight tickets, and all of that, and then when you're done, they say, "Oh, this is the honorarium XYZ." So it's not really a problem per se, but when you don't understand your place, you set certain things as a problem, and one of them is thinking that why is your office and the office of the pastor not equal? No, it cannot be equal, because in church music is a supporting ministry. That's what it means.
Interesting. But God calls musicians, doesn't He?
Yes, God calls musicians, but there is no church where they say, you know what, this is a music church. When we come here, we just sing and go.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no church where we say, this is a music church, we just sing and go. No. We are always under a vision. under a ministry, supporting the ministry of God. So yes, God calls you the same way God calls the usher. Ushering is a ministry, you know. So a musician is not more important than the usher or someone who is at the gate, opening gate for cars. It's a ministry on its own. So a musician is not more important than that guy who is at the gate, opening gate for people. So, but collectively, it's a supporting ministry, you know, supporting the vision that God has given the person that you're submitting to. And I feel like that must be respected.
Interesting. So what are we to expect next from Frank Edwards?
A lot. First, I have a new EP.
Oh, okay.
Coming tomorrow, actually, a day before my birthday. You know?
Interesting.
Yeah, so I Am. The EP is I Am. It's a wonderful EP that I really love everyone to experience. That's one. You know, number two is that we have started mentorship programs. You know, it's called the Music Maker Mentorship Program. And the aim is just to, the way I have been mentored by Don Mo, and, you know, I just want to pass on that knowledge. I'm a sound engineer, I'm a producer, you know, so I have experience that I feel like, and I have seen where the needs are in the music, you know, gospel music settings. So it's just to pass that information to them just so that everyone is cultured.
Is there a place for the body of music ministers in Nigeria to come together? I'm asking that because we see a lot and we hear a lot. I don't even know how that makes you feel. So is there a place for everyone coming together and defining this is how we should be doing this and not this other way that, you know, things have been?
Yes, I know of a place, you know, that was once headed by, you know, the legendary Asuekie. You know, there's a body, you know, of, you know, musicians, you know, like an association. That's what, you know, and that's what it's all about, and pray, which I'm part of, you know. But I said to them, what I'm not going to be part of is if you create another group that looks more like it is we against the church. I don't want to be part of that. It's almost like a rebel, you know, group. If it's a place to come and pray and encourage ourselves and evaluate what we're doing and see how we can do it better, fine. But if it's a place to come and say the church must do this thing for us, the church, I'm not part of that.
Okay. So what song is this one?
This is Okaka.
Okay.
Is this? Yes, this is Okaka.
Okay. Is this one of those songs that caught the attention of your mentor?
Yes. I forgot to mention it. This very one. If I tell you the story about this song.
Tell us.
Before I recorded this song, I had recorded, you know, the worship songs, the Mama, the, you know, Chukwebuka, Omemma. So when I recorded this one, it was fast-paced. So I decided to play it to one, you know, person that I respect. He's a man of God. And when he listened to it, he said, no. Don't do something like this. Just stay with that, with your worship. No. This is... And I felt so bad.
Wow.
So I just went for 2-3 months. I didn't do anything. So one day I was praying. God said, I gave you this inspiration to do this thing. Why do you think that you need permission
of someone
to release it? So I just went ahead. I released the song. Fast forward, after I released it, 2 years after, I was traveling. No, 3 years after I was traveling. So I met this person who told me not to release it. I met him at the airport. Oh, my Frank Edwards, it's been a long time. Look, you have caused a problem in my house. So from my little daughter, from my wife to my office, everybody, yo. Same person.
Oh, my God.
And I'm thinking, so did you forget that you told me never to, you know? And he said, that's such an amazing video. That's such oh my God. I'm saying, he actually forgot that he told me not to release it.
We're going to close out this program with this song, but thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Frank Edwards, also known as Frank Rich Boy. We'll talk about that some other time, okay?
Yes, sir.
Well, that's the show today. Thank you for the privilege of being a part of your morning. And Ayo, Makinde, please do not forget, your life is yours and you have only one. Take good enough care of it, and your life will never remain the same again. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend.